What's up guys, Mollusk here, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos where I will discuss some set piece plays for my beloved Hunters Guild. I hope by doing these I'll become a better player, as it'll get me thinking about some tools that I can bring to bear on the pitch. And if you're new to the game, maybe it'll give you some ideas, or if you're a veteran you can tell me where I'm going wrong or nuances I've missed, all that good stuff. It might have been a good idea to start on some of the more established set pieces like the Zarola linked to Fahad play, but I thought I'd start with a bit of fun and talk about an idea I've had for an Egret first turn goal. I don't know if this is something people do and everybody already knows about it. I suspect not, because I don't think it's that good. Maybe. It's got some weaknesses, definitely. But I quite like the idea of it currently, and yeah, I thought I would discuss it today. Just be glad I'm not doing the snow first turn goal idea that I kind of jokingly put up on the forum for my own amusement. So, first turn Egret goal. Well, we're going to start Scather and Egret off for relatively close together. I've put them 4 inches apart here. There is probably a little more leeway, and I've given them 4 influence apiece. Ulfa has kindly demonstrated a bit of an awkward kickoff, and he's managed to punt it 1 and 1 across the line. So not ideal. We'd want it to be a bit closer, but potentially simulating a kick aimed and being stopped at one, a piece of terrain near the line that people like to do. Clearly our team is receiving, and so we're going to activate Scather first. She's going to put down her fast ground in front of Egret, or where Egret will be, and also where she can make use of it herself. So we're going to spend an influence to sprint as the ball is quite far away, so we're just going to go up 3 inches, touching the fast ground. Continuing with the sprint, we use up another 4 inches of movement, get within an inch of the ball and snap it, and use our remaining movement to shuffle back as far as we can. And now we're looking to make some passes. Scather's got a 6-inch kick, and as you can see we've got a little bit of leeway here. So basically, although this does depend on the kick scattering within a particular range that I haven't worked out, Scather can cover a reasonable amount of the pitch and still feed the ball to Egret. So now we spend an influence to make a snowball marker. Spend another influence to Egret making the pass. Love Scather's 4-dice kick. And then we bank that momentum. We then spend Scather's final influence to kick the real ball, making that 4-dice kick with the single success as is textbook. And Egret takes the teamwork play to dodge 4 inches forwards, kissing that fast ground. Worth considering that if we'd fully stacked Scather, we could still have 2 influence left to throw out a cold snap on their kicker. That snared condition could be potentially quite handy. And now we come to the interesting bit. Will the enemy make use of their kickoff pressure to take the ball off me? The answer is probably yes, as quite frankly Hunters seem to be awful at holding on to the ball. But we're asking the enemy a question, and potentially eating some time on their clock. Ultimately, it's going to depend a lot on who the enemy kicked with. If they kicked with, for example, Obulus, I think we abort this hard from the beginning, as among the many things he could do from this situation, he can just simply tell me to pass him the ball, which would scupper things fairly hard. Against some of the more elite 2-inch melee, super fast strikers like Shark or Vitriol, the goal is here on the plate for them. And with their huge kick range and then the run the length, they could probably get the goal and then get back out towards the midline to safety and make killing them or taking them prisoner, by which I mean hurting them really badly, leaving them on really low life at the end of the turn to dissuade the enemy from putting any influence on them next turn, and so taking them out of the game effectively for 2 turns. A bit tricky. Against strikers with stubbier legs, or just a little bit shitter, such as Ulfa, I don't think we worry too hard, because we've got a bear and it's hungry. Let's say the striker decides to come in, maybe they charge, in which case we've got momentum to make a defensive stance, putting Egret to 5-1, which is pretty good defense. Totally possible to whiff an attack with that, although probably not if they've got a tackle on 1, or if they roll this obscene roll like I did. Possibly better to go for the counter-attack tackle. But anyway, they probably take the ball off me, they probably get a dodge or something, or even use this fast ground in the first place to go further, get the goal, and then dance away. in which case we kick out conservatively to someone, one of our other team members out over here, and then introduce the striker to the bear. We let the turn progress, and ultimately we're looking to pass the ball back to Egret, who's still locked and loaded here, and generate that 1 goal run momentum. Although hopefully we've generated a reasonable amount from killing or mauling the striker. So it's finally Egret's turn, either at the end of the turn after the strikers come in and stolen the ball, scored the goal, and now we're going for a snapback, or if they didn't do that, second activation. Egret spends 1 influence to sprint 10 inches off the fast ground into easy range from her shot. We technically don't actually need the fast ground. If we're going in a direct line between the goals, she would be technically in range without that little speed boost, but in practice I found that was almost impossibly hard, and so she needs a little bit of extra distance. Notice she has got some extra influence, and a couple of snipes, or more likely a flurry, could just dink her that extra distance that she needs. But I feel it's worth considering the fast ground, as it gives you much more wiggle room to get that angle on goal. So as I said, we now use her 2 dice flurry. If this is the second activation, this could be particularly nice in catching a large amount of their team in the poison damage burst. But what we're really looking for here is damage to trigger back to the shadows when she ends her activation. If we're going in the second activation early on in the turn, there's a good likelihood we're not going to be able to get a clean shot at the goal, and there will be an intervening model. Going later in the turn will present its own difficulties. It'll be more likely that we'll end up engaged, etc. And so we're just going to account for the fact that we're going to lose a dice, won't have the momentum to bonus time, and just take the 2 die shot, which is a 75% chance of success. Less than ideal, but what are you going to do? I'm told getting an early goal with a Scatha team is pretty crucial, and I reckon it's worth the risk. After scoring our amazing goal, we use Run the Length and back to the shadows to pseudo need slider away to safety. Run, you ginger motherfucker! By no means is Egret totally safe, but I think that's just about as good as it gets. By my calculations, the probability of success on this, the whole goal run here, is the same as the more standard Scatha goal run, and doesn't leave your captain in the jaws of the enemy crew. If we manage to get this in the second activation, the enemy will kick out, maybe get a snapback goal, but then the rest of the team is ready to set up our return. If the enemy went aggressive, took the ball off us and scored, if everything went well, we've just scored our comeback goal, and there's a decent chance we've banked enough momentum to be in a good position to compete for the initiative in turn 2, where we can hunt down that second goal. So there you have it, the Egret turn 1 goal set piece. Feel free to let me know what you think, and I'd be especially interested if you've used it yourself. And until the next one, take care.